Welcome back to part two of the NFL football season preview, where we're discussing all the teams in the NFL and their outlook for the season, their rosters, and everything like that. We have already discussed the entire AFC South, and we have discussed the Cleveland Browns, the last place team in the AFC North. But now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to move on to talk about the third place team in the AFC North, which is ironically the other Ohio team, which would be my team, the Cincinnati Bengals. And the question mark with Cincinnati is that can they finally stop getting off to these ugly 0-2, 0-3 starts? Because it digs them in that hole, and they end up getting screwed over much later. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So, if we look at this is Cincinnati Bengals. Well, of course, we have Zach Taylor, our head coach. He is in his seventh season. He came in back in 2019. And the thing with the Bengals has been they had that great playoff run that led to the Super Bowl 4 years ago, back in 2021. They made the AFC Championship back-to-back seasons in 21 and 22, but since then they have missed the postseason for the last two seasons, finishing 9-8 in both of those seasons. And both the seasons have been characterized by slow starts, starting 0-2, 1-3, and 0-3 last season. Overall win percentage is around 46%. This has not been a consistently winning franchise, so when they go through their little winning spouts, you embrace it while you can. We all know who their quarterback is. That's Joe Burrow. He has been the focal point of that franchise since he ever walked in the door. Running back situation, Chase Brown is turning into that speedster running back. They still have Zach Moss, that they got from the Indianapolis Colts at the end of last season, and then they brought back Samaje Perine from the Kansas City Chiefs, who was a key part in the AFC Championship win against Kansas City, leading to the Super Bowl. Mike Gesicki is going to be the tight end once again, so the first time ever, I think Joe Burrow is going to have the same tight end 2 years in a row. And then we all know the major storyline in Cincinnati with the wide receivers is that Ja'Marr Chase, and T. Higgins have signed multi-year extensions for big money to keep them in Cincinnati for the next 4 seasons. And the future's looking bright for that offense. Orlando Brown, Ted Karras, and Marius Mims are going to be the focal points of the offensive line. But then, of course, it wouldn't be Cincinnati if there wasn't one person with a contract dispute. In this case, that would be their star, Trey Hendrickson, who had 17 and a half sacks each of the last 2 seasons. He is in the midst of a bitter contract dispute with Cincinnati. He is refusing to play on the last year of his current deal. He will not play until he gets a new deal. So if he's out, that's going to raise some severe question marks in Cincinnati on defense. They did get a new defensive coordinator, Al Golden, formerly of Notre Dame. So hopefully that will bring some change to that. At least the back end of the defense, which was god awful last year. So we look at the rest of the defense. I'm hearing they're going to release Jermaine Pratt, which is unfortunate. Logan Wilson, the star middle linebacker, is pretty good. Cam Taylor-Britt's going to be looking for a big bounce back year. And then, of course, we got Geno Stone and Jordan Battle at the safety positions. In the division, they have a winning record against the Cleveland Browns in the Battle of Ohio, but outside of that, Pittsburgh has been a god-awful record. It's been the bane of our existence for years. And then Baltimore, we're hovering right around 46% win percentage. All right, so if you look at their schedule, the key to Cincinnati, once again, is to getting off to that strong start. I do have them, at least for now, winning in week one for the first time since that Super Bowl year. I actually have them starting 2-0 when they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in week two. But then, in the unfortunate case of the NFL schedule, they have got a rough road ahead. They're going to take on a Minnesota team, granted with a lot of question marks, but they're going to take on a Minnesota team in Minnesota where they do not have a lot of luck at. They're at Denver on Monday night, which was going to be an epic rematch of the Saturday night game last season that kept Cincinnati's playoff hopes alive before they got squashed in Week 18. And then the biggest home game of their season, arguably their biggest home game of the season, will be against the Detroit Lions, 425 national doubleheader game on Fox. So they'll take on that, then they'll go to Green Bay, and then they'll play Pittsburgh. So it's going to be difficult getting off to a strong start, but it's going to be necessary before they have that after week 10 grind. I do have them winning. Actually, starting was that be 6-3 before the week 10 bye week, and then I do have them finishing 12-5 in the AFC North, which will be over their 10.5 win total projection. I do have them finishing second place in the division. They will lose in the divisional round against the Baltimore Ravens in this one, but I think it's going to be. They're saying Zach Taylor's on the hot seat. I can understand why, but I would just say I think 12-5 is a reasonable figure for this team, and I would keep them at that pace. And I do have them losing in the divisional round to close out their 2025-26 season. All right, so this has been my little preview of the Cincinnati Bengals, my team, of course. In the next video, we're going to move on and talk about the second place team in the AFC North, which will be the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have got a lot of issues that we're going to delve into in that next video. So until then, this is your man Dylan signing off about the Cincinnati Bengals, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.